Yeah, okay. Yeah, so let's begin. Now, the session we are having today, the fourth session of Flutter Bootcamp, we'll be, going in depth about what's local storage. And now, particularly for Flutter, we'll be looking at a package called as Hive. Now, why do we require local storage? Like, as you know, like you would have used so many apps. You can take Iris app itself as an example. So in there, you must have seen that, like you don't have to enter your login details every time. So like once you're logged in, that detail will be stored locally. So the next time you try to join in, that data is already there, so you don't have to enter it again. And then, like we also store your light theme or dark theme uh, preferences, and there'll be so many other stuff that we store locally, so that like we don't have to fetch them from the web or from the backend again and again. So like which is going to slow down the app more. So now that's about local storages for all apps. Now for Flutter, we use a package called as Hive. Now Hive will be implementing a NoSQL database. So like a database is basically storing all your data in terms of rows and columns in a table. So now speaking in particular terms, Hive is going to use a NoSQL database. So now how Hive stores the data is, I'll just show you this. So in Hive, we have these things known as boxes. Okay, so like whenever we want to store something locally, we create a box with the, like every box should have a unique name. So in that box, we store the data in terms of a key value pairs, so like a map. So in that box, we have a key one. If we access that key one, we'll be able to access the values that are stored here. Now here, these values, like they can be anything. They can be strings, integers, like our own custom class, time, or anything. So yeah, that's about it. So if you want to use Hive in Flutter, you have to basically follow these steps. So to first open up a box, and in that box you can start like adding your own key value pairs, and you can keep updating the same box with those values itself. And if you feel that like you want to keep some data separate from other things, you can again create a box to something, and then you can make more key value pairs, and these keys has to be unique for only that particular box. You can repeat these key names for the other box also. Now, yeah, I'll just remove this. So in the last session that we had, where the third session where we covered about list view builders and navigation and stuff. So we had this basic app. So here, if we click, it leads to a page. And here, as you can see, we had a floating action button which had a heart symbol. So this symbol, we can think of it as a like a like option. So now in the last session, like it wasn't implemented. Right now it's just empty. So let's start implementing it. Now first, what I'm going to do is let's go to the home screen. The size is way too big, so let's just decrease it. Yeah, center title to true. Now, let's say after I like a particular show or a movie, like I want to have a page where we can see all my liked movies. So here on the app bar itself, on the right side, I'm going to create a icon from where I can access it. So now how you create icons for app bars, like if you don't know, like you just create, you have to give a parameter called as actions, and these actions take a few widgets. So here I want a icon widget. Let's say icon dot favorite. Yeah. Yeah. And now after click on this, it should lead to some other page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this with a gesture detector. I think it was covered in the last session as well. So gesture detector is to basically see if there was any action on that particular icon. So like a swipe or a tap, a long press or anything like that. So here, let's give the on tap functionality. So yeah, so now right now I can click on this, but right now nothing is happening. So let's create a new file. Let's call it our favorite screen. So here, let's create a stateful widget. Yeah, let's call it favorite screen. Now it's a screen again, so like we need to start from the scaffold. Let's return a scaffold, the app bar. Let's call it favorite screen. Yeah. And then let's give it a body. Let's just leave it empty. So now after I click on this icon, it should be able to navigate over there. So let's just do a navigator.push. And the route will be a material page route. Yeah. So let's see if it works. If I tap on this, yeah, so it's going to lead to an empty screen, which is favorite screen now. So now in favorite screen, like, yeah, so we want to show all our favorite things, right? So let's, instead of a container, let's start with a list view builder now. Yeah, so let's create a list, which is basically going to hold whatever favorite uh, film shows we had. Now, right now, I'm just going to keep it empty. So like we can start filling it later. So let's keep it a late because I'm going to fill it later. Yeah. So in the list view builder, the item count obviously will be the favorite list length. And for the item builder, yeah, let's go with a card. Yeah. Now this list view builder will be building over this favorite list, and here each index that we get, we're going to show that on the screen. Yeah, so this is basically it. Now what we'll do is we'll go to this screen where we are going to like everything. So that screen would be this one. So we had a floating action button, right? Yeah. So in this floating action button, after we press on this icon, it should be stored somewhere so that we can retrieve it later. So now here, yeah, so as you can see, we are in the detail screen, which is coming from this list card, which is again coming from home screen. So it's like 3-4 screens away, right? So we can't just pass the data from here to there easily. So here also we can make use of Hive. That is, we can store the local data on the phone itself, so that we can store the data from this screen and we can later retrieve it from like wherever we want. So now, how do you use Hive? Yeah, so first we need to go to pubspec.yaml. Let's add all our for this project we will need Hive and Hive Flutter. These are the two packages that we're going to need to store the data locally. Yeah, and obviously these two packages are platform independent, so like you can write the same code for both iOS and Android. Now let's run pubget. And by the way, if you guys have any doubts, you can just stop me in the midway. I don't mind. If you have any doubts, you can ask. Okay, now that has run, let's go to our main file and let's quickly import the Hive Flutter package. Yeah, so now what we need to do is, before we start our app itself, we need to initialize Hive. So we do a await hive.initialize Flutter. So here, this function will be a asynchronous function. So we need to wait for it to actually finish before we move ahead. So that's why we use the keyword await over here. So now after awaiting, yeah, so that is pretty much it. So we can use Hive now. Now, yeah, so as I said, we store data in these boxes, right? So what do we do is first we need to open up a box. So let's say await hive.open box. Now for this, yeah, for this we need to give a box name. Let's just give it as favorite shows. So now, yeah, so right now we have opened up a box, so we can use this box like from anywhere in the code to access that box and store data or retrieve data from over there. So now if I go to favorite screen, yeah, okay, first let's go to detail screen. So here, let's call a function store in box. I haven't made that function yet. Yeah, let's yeah. So here right now, for the basics, I'm just going to store the uh, uh, title of the film itself, just to show how it's done. Later we can go to storing a bit more advanced things. Now for storing boxes, we would require the title. So yeah, from the last class, we were passing the title as an argument from over here. So yeah, we'll do the same thing. So let this function take a string title. So to pass in the title from here, we're gonna do args dot to string. Yeah. So now, how do you? We had that box at favorite show. So how do you access that box? We just store that box, and we'll say hive dot box. Hive dot box. So to give the you have to give the same name if you can't make any changes. Let's make sure that's the same one. Yeah. Okay. So now, right now we have this box, the reference to this box stored in this box variable over here. So what we'll do is we'll just say box dot put. So now, yeah. So for this put, it's going to ask for a key and a value, and a value is going to be obviously the string title that we want to store. Now here the key we can, it has to be just unique, but you can give like any string you want to give as the key. So for, let's say we're going to store the movies and the shows separately. Yeah, and like this is literally it. So to just call this function now, and like whatever string you're going to give, it's going to store in this box under this one. Now we're going to store a list of things. So we're going to store a list of movies. We can't just keep on storing the same string under the same key. So first, what we'll do is we'll get the list first. So favorite list. First, we'll get the things that are stored from the box. Yeah. Now, let us say that this key value pair does not exist in the box yet. So for that, what you can do is there's an option called as default value. So yeah, so default value is used basically in the cases where the retrieval from a box fails. So if it is default value, let's give it as an empty list. So like whenever it gets it and it fails, we can just initialize it to an empty list. And then we'll do a favorite list dot add. So you're gonna add the string that we want to store to this, and then we're gonna put the same list back into the box. So basically, we're just taking the stored list. We're gonna append the title to it. Yeah, and then we're gonna store the modified list back into the box. Okay. So yeah, this is all it from here. Now let's yeah. So now here right now all the shows and names same. So let's just change that a bit. Let's use a string interpolation to change that. We can't use const. Yeah, so now it's Sherlock 0 to Sherlock 19, I guess. Yeah, so now all are different. So yeah, so this was all about storing it. And now let's say if we go to favorite screen, it should show everything up here, right? So here, what we can do is like, as soon as we open the screen, we want to basically get that box and see whatever it has, and we have to show it on the screen. So for that, we will store it in the init state method. So whenever this widget will be called, the first function that gets run or executed is the init state. So we can be show that, like, as soon as the page is open, the things will be fetched. Let's make a fetch list function. So here, what it's going to do is it's going to do the same thing, where box is equal to Hive dot box. So our box name was this one. Okay, and then we're going to store it. So Hive, sorry, box dot get key was movies. Yeah, and obviously we can also give a default value, which will be just empty right now. Cool. So after we call the supers init state, let's call our fetch list, and then we are done. Yeah, so that's basically it. So let's just restart our whole app just to make sure. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Sometimes this happens. We can just stop the app and run it again. Okay, so while the app runs again, like, you guys have any doubts? Like, am I going a bit too fast or anything? Okay. Nobody has any doubts? Fine. change the name then. Okay, that's working. So let's just change the box name from everywhere else. Yeah. So now let's try it out. Let's go to this movie. Let's try to make it a favorite and okay, I didn't change it here. Yeah, now if we go and see the, yeah, so there you go. Sherlock 0 has been saved over there. So if I try to add some more, like let's say Sherlock 1, yeah, so it's gonna come over there. So yeah, so this is the basics of that. Let's just make it a bit more good looking. So let's give some padding. Text also. Give it a text style. Yeah, so now we are storing it. Now, yeah, so like right now, yeah, so as you can see, I can just go click on the like button again and it's gonna show the stuff again, right? So like that, like you don't want to do that. So you just want, yeah, so basically like you want to store which things you're gonna, which movies somebody has liked. And yeah, so you also wanna, for each movie, you wanna know if it has been liked or not. So for that, like, so instead of just storing the string, we can do something else. We can store a class instead, right? So we can store an object of a class. So there we can have a title. It's here we can have a full title, and we can also have a, like basically a variable which is going to tell if it has been marked as favorite or not. So let's make that up. Let's create a class. Let's call it a show model. Okay. You don't have any doubts, you can unmute yourself. Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So let's just store all our strings. We're going to store title, right? And for this one, we also have a thing called as a full title. And let's store a bool. And now let's make the constructor for these. Yeah. So now we'll be storing everything from here. Now, like the problem with this is that Hive on its own does not know like what to store for this class. So if you want to store an integer, like it's going to know that it's going to be an integer, so you can store it and retrieve it. But for classes that are created by the programmer user, like there has to be some way so that Hive can figure out like how it has to store the data or how it has to retrieve and what kind of data it is. So for that case, we use something known as a Hive generator. So Hive generator is going to create an Hive adapter for us. So through a Hive adapter, we can communicate with Hive, like how it has to be, how the data has to be stored and whatnot. So again, so for that we would require, now here the packages that we're going to use will come under the dev dependencies, and that's because these stuff are done during the development of the app and not while the app is in use. So we're going to add two packages, Hive generator and build runner. So let's run Flutter Pubkit. Now, while that is running, I'll show you the syntax. So yeah, so let's say I want to store this class in Hive. So for each adapter that you're going to make, we need to give a unique Hive type ID for that. So the syntax is a bit confusing, but it's pretty easy also. So I need to give a Hive type over here. So we're going to ask for a type ID. So let's just say like it starts with 1 or something. And then for each field of that class that you want to store in Hive, you have to give a Hive field annotation. So here, let's start with 0. You can start with any number or like in any order, but here let's just go serial wise. Hive field 2. Yeah, this is done. Now, one last step is that you need to write this part and the file name that we have, that is show model. And instead of just dot, it's going to be .g. Here .g stands for generated, so it knows that okay, these files have been generated by the machine itself and not written by us. Now here, like we used to use imports, but here we are using the keyword part. Why? That's because here part just says that like whatever classes or like whatever stuff that is stored in this show model.g like they will be a part of this file as well. So if somebody were to just import show model they could also access the contents which are inside show model g. And that's what we're going to do. Now, after saving this, we need to go to our terminal. We need to run this command, flutter pub run build runner build. So here, what we're saying is that we have, we have a file which has certain annotations. So for that, we are saying that, like we're just asking the build runner package to build these things for us. I mean, yeah, this process can take a couple of minutes. So let's see. There you go. Yeah. So it ran successfully. And as you can see, there's a separate file created known as show model.g. So that was a file that we're making a part of this file. So here, if you can see, it has a class which is a show model adapter. So that's exactly what we wanted. We need an adapter to communicate with Hive, saying how this particular class has to be stored. Now here it has a ID that we gave, and the most important thing here is that it has these two functions called as read and write. So these functions are going to tell like at what offset what string or what integer you have to write, and then while reading it, like it's going to take those bytes serially, and then according to the Hive fields that we get, like 0, 1, 2, it's going to store and retrieve them like that. I mean, like you don't have to know all this stuff, but if you know, that's pretty good. Okay. So now we have this. Now, one last thing is that like we need to say to Hive that okay, like we just made an we just created an adapter, so we're going to use that from now on. So that syntax is just hive dot register. So here let's give our adapter class, and that's all. Okay, now since we had already stored a few strings, so let's just clear that up. So I'm going to use a function called as clear box. Clear. Let's restart the app so that it runs. Yeah, now it's clear, so we can move on. So let's start from the details screen page. Okay, or no, let's just start from here. Movies list page. Now here we are passing a title, a full title, etc. So instead of that, let's just pass our show model instead. So it's gonna take these things. It's gonna take a title, a full title, and is favorite. Let's just say it's false for now. And then if you go to list card, let's do the same thing. Let's just accept a show model and then take as that as the parameter. Import. Okay, now over here, instead of just title, it's going to be show.title, and here we're going to access full title from show again. And here, while passing the arguments, yeah. So instead of passing the argument as the title, let's just pass the whole show as the argument. Now over here, okay, yeah. I guess we didn't make it named parameters. Yeah, that can't be done now. Okay, fine. Let's just remove all the names then. Okay, cool. So that's sorted out, and let's just go to detail screen. So here we were accessing the arcs, right? So like, instead of arcs, let's take it as a show model. So I'm gonna use the keyword as. So it's gonna take that object and make it of the type show model. And here instead of arcs, yeah, so you can just take the arcs title over there, and nothing much. And yeah, now since we're gonna store models instead of just that, let's also go to our fab. Let's pass the show itself and not anything else. Let's accept a show model. And then let's store the show. That's all. And while getting it, we're going to do the same thing, box.get. Yep, this can remain the same. So now, yeah, so over here, instead of just taking fab list index, we're going to do dot title also. Let's see if that's working. Let's save everything. Restart. Okay, right now it's empty. Let's try storing this. Yeah, so it works. So they can see right now I'm not just storing the title, I'm storing the whole class itself. So to show that, I'm gonna wrap this with a column. I'm gonna show like everything. So after the text, I'm gonna give another text. And here we're gonna take the list elements, let's say full title. Let's make it a bit smaller than that. and obviously its favorite. Yeah, yeah. So that is it. So we can see it now. We can just go on anywhere. We can like it. I'm gonna show that now. Yeah, like from my end, like that is it. Like there's not much to Hive. So yeah. So the basic thing is like through Hive, like you're gonna store key value pairs in boxes. And yeah, so for storing primitive types like integer strings, you can just make a box. You can create a key for that, store the values, and you can retrieve it. What do you want to store? Let's say some uh, custom classes. So for that, you need to generate a Hive adapter for that class. The syntax I showed you over here, and after you make the adapter for that, you can just start. You need to register it in the main function, and after that, it's going to be the same as that whatever I said, like for the primitive data types. And yeah, like right now, I just showed a very basic example, like so you can implement a few more features. So like let's say over here, this film is already liked, right? So this button should not be active right now. And so it should, right now it's blue. Let's say if it is like it should already be red. And if it's red and I click on it, it's gonna remove the film from the favorite list. So you can implement some more features like that. And yeah, so yeah, that is it. Like for your yeah for your assignments, let's say that you're working on a scheduler app. So over there, like you can show all your schedules. You can show the time, and yeah, like if you're doing working with any API calls or anything, you can store those locally as well. So from my end, that is it. Does anybody have any doubts? You can ask me. Yeah, like this program was a bit basic, so I'm gonna share a bit more. I mean, the same app itself, obviously, but a bit more implementation once. I'm gonna share the link to that code soon. Other than that, does anybody have any doubts, guys? Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording.